When we are coming from the past, we are projecting that past on what's going to happen next. So the past becomes our future. We have to get out of this mind state of living in past realities. The key to solving all of this is we have to integrate the past within us. We have to accept it. We have to accept the past into our reality and learn from it and be grateful for these past situations that happened to us. Because without these past situations, how can we ever grow? How can we ever magnetize into that better version of ourselves? How can we ever learn lessons from the past? What's up, everybody? I'm Jackie Terry. In this video, I wanted to talk about autonomy and power. How we as human beings have the ability to make or break ourselves. Autonomy means guiding yourself in the right direction. You're self-directed. You're on the right path. You know what you want. The ability to create your own reality. We want to get to the point in our lives where we're not victimizing ourselves, but we create opportunities for ourselves and create our own autonomy and freedom and power, because the power is within. And once you realize the power that's in you, that's when you can implement that power into other people, and they will see your shine. They will get motivated by your shine. But how can you do that when we're constantly in a state of denial? We're constantly in a reactive state. We're constantly angry. We're constantly worried. And a lot of people don't know why they're worried all the time. A lot of people don't know why they have high anxiety. We were born into these situations. Sometimes we inherit traumas from our own parents that we don't even know about. You see, as Black people, we never went to therapy. Our parents never went to therapy. You know what they told us? They told us, hey, get over it, shake it off. We were always taught to never cry, and just to hold things in and to repress our emotions. We were taught that. Even as men now, we still don't know how to let our emotions out. Because now with the stereotype bias, we'll be considered as weak or even fragile. But I'm gonna tell you what happens when you repress your emotions in. You actually destroy yourself. When you oppress these emotions in and you don't let them out, your cortisol levels actually rise. Cortisol is a stress hormone that triggers a fight or flight response in your nervous system. So you're constantly at high alert. Your mind is constantly wondering, stressing. You're full of high anxiety. And you're constantly paranoid. And you're constantly in a reactive state. We have a small piece in our brain called the amygdala. And the amygdala is a small piece of our brain that controls our emotions. So think of the amygdala as a smoke alarm. So you're not really thinking a rational thought when you're acting on a amygdala. The amygdala is just going to tell you to react. And when you've been through traumas and situations that have traumatized you, that have put you in a post-traumatic stress disorder state, then your amygdala is at a high rate, it's at a high intensity. So, like I said in that analogy, your smoke alarm is always going to be alert. It's always going to keep going off. Because we haven't learned how to process these emotions that we feel. 80% of the emotions that we actually feel, they're not our present emotions at all. These are emotions from the past that we still hang on to. Even hanging on to the emotions from the past can be detrimental to your health, because you're constantly reliving past experiences. Whether these past experiences are good or bad, you are living in the past. So when you live in the past, there's no way to create a better future for yourself. You're stuck in the past. You're not living in the present moment at all. So how can you see the present moment and how can you see the future if you're living in the past reality? What we have to realize about the future and the present is, when we break away from living in the past, we are in that present moment. Now, it's time to focus on the future, but not live in the future. You see, nothing negative has happened in the future yet. So when we already have predetermined thoughts in a futuristic state, for example, if I were to say, I'm not going to get this job. Oh man, I don't think this client's going to hire me. Or we're constantly bringing self-doubt to ourselves, our self-sabotage. We constantly say things like this, and it hasn't happened yet. We are actually predetermining our future before it happens. And that creates anxiety. Coming from the past, how can we create a better future for ourselves when the past is all negative? We can't. When we are coming from the past, we are projecting that past on what's going to happen next. So the past becomes our future. We have to get out of this mind state of living in past realities. The key to solving all of this is we have to integrate the past within us. We have to accept it. We have to accept the past into our reality and learn from it and be grateful for these past situations that happened to us. Because without these past situations, how can we ever grow? How can we ever magnetize into that better version of ourselves? How can we ever learn lessons from the past? The past molds us into who we are. And the past will always keep repeating itself until we learn from it. If we don't learn from the past, you're going to go in a circle. It's going to be a paradox. It's going to be the insanity, right? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That's what Albert Einstein said. So when you cling on to the past and you don't integrate the past into you and accept the past and learn from the past, your past will keep becoming the reality that you don't want. Instead, you have to look at the past and say, what I went through is not who I am today. I'm gonna say it again. Look at your past and say, what I went through is not who I am today. What I went through is not who I am today. I am Jackie Terry, and who I was is not who I am. You see, a lot of these people, they want you to wear these dirty rags, right? We all make mistakes. But there's a lot of people that will keep shaming you. Keep shaming, blaming, and keeping you down at that rut so they can lower your self-esteem and lower your self-value and lower your self-worth to keep you at that same level because you made the mistake, right? We have to empower ourselves with full freedom and autonomy to know who we are, to accept who we are, and to work on who we are. Because in reality, other people's opinions don't validate who we are as a person. When you let other people's opinions validate you, that's when they have complete control over you. Be honest. Do an introspection on yourself. Do a self-analysis on yourself. Evaluate yourself and your own problems. See what you need to work on. Do a self-analysis on yourself. But the state of denial is so strong because the ego can do two things to you. It could give you a false reality of yourself, the false reality that you believe that you are in right now, that the false reality that you don't want to accept that you have a problem. It can give you that. The ego can give you that. The ego can boost you up to high levels to the point where you're in a self-destructive state and you're not even realizing it. So not only are you in a self-destructive state, but everybody around you, you're creating a self-destructive state for them as well. So the ego can give you a false reality of being in a self-destructive state, thinking that everything is okay, right? The second thing the ego can do is also expose the truth about yourself, right? The ego can take that illusion, that grandiose illusion that you think of you, and show you the truth about who you really are and that true authentic self, who you need to be. You see, sometimes it takes going through trauma. Sometimes it takes going through these battles to actually see who you really are. You want to look in the mirror? Can you be honest with yourself and look in the mirror and talk to yourself? Because sometimes the best conversations you can have with anybody is yourself, and the best conversation you can have is alone by yourself in deep thought, and ask yourself questions. Why do I react this way? What are my triggers? What are my goals? What are my values? How can I love myself better? How can I become a better person? Can I wake up and look at myself and tell myself that I love you every single day? Can I speak positive affirmations to myself and tell myself it's going to be all right? Can I be that wise inner parent to myself, to that inner child that was abused, that was left for dead, that inner child that nobody cared about, right? Can I be that wise inner parent to myself and tell myself it's going to be all right, right? That's where the self-love comes from. I'm going to break it down to you like this. Prime example, I'm going to talk about self-cannibalism. This example I'm telling you about, imagine a snake eating its own tail. The snake is supposed to hunt for food, right? But the snake is still stuck on the past. So instead of going out and venturing out and searching and exposing itself to new environments, new paradigms, new information, it's still stuck in that past. So what the snake does is still hungry and it's still searching for food, but it's still stuck in the past. It's not going to the future. It's not in the present moment. So what the snake does is it begins to eat itself. Begins to eat its own tail until there's nothing left. This is a form of self-cannibalism that we as human beings, we go through. Sometimes it's not the other person destroying you. Sometimes it's you destroying yourself and blaming it on the other person so you can create some sort of validation for yourself, so you can make yourself feel better, you can make yourself look good in front of other people. But in the long run, on those deep, lonely nights, when you look in the mirror, who do you see? It's you. And it's not the version of yourself that you want. I'm here to tell you that it gets better. It gets better by doing the inner work, looking deep inside and focusing on the spirituality of things, focusing more on gratitude, focusing more on giving back, hospitality, doing things for other people. Because in the long run, it's all about creating a legacy. And a legacy is energy that will last forever. So when your energy lasts forever, when you create a legacy by giving back, by being humble, by being harmonious, by showing humility, you get back the gift from God. Get back that gift to other people. And when you learn to become a service to other people, that's when you learn to become a service for yourself. And you learn how to appreciate gratitude. And you learn how to appreciate abundance. There's enough for everybody. There's enough love for everybody. There's enough for everybody to get. In order to get what we want, we have to know who we are first. Because a lot of people want to get what they want. They want to attract who they want. But the universe isn't going to give you what you want. Instead, the universe will give you who you are instead. And like I said, it's a pattern. So if you keep going through the same daily patterns in life and you wonder why things aren't getting better, that's when you have to really sit down and do a complete introspection on yourself. Because like I said before, the universe doesn't give you what you want, the universe gives you who you are. I'm Jackie Terry, and I'm here to tell you, don't become addicted to past traumas at all. Because if you do, you will remain in that past. And you will never move on to what you're capable of. You'll never move on to your authentic self. Keep God first. And always believe and love who you are. Integrate these flaws that you have within you, these insecurities that you have within you, and rather than run away from it, accept it. Accept it. Love every piece about you. Accept your flaws. Accept your weaknesses. Accept that this is who you are. But I know that if I could work on these weaknesses and if I could work on these flaws in little increments at a time, then I know I will get better. Because it takes 21 days to create a neural pathway in your brain. So the moment you keep doing something over and over again out of consistency, you will create new neural pathways in your brain. And it takes 21 days to create that. Once you create a new neural pathway, it becomes a habit. So once it becomes your habit, once it becomes a habit, your behavioral patterns begin to change. And that's when your actions begin to change. Once your actions begin to change, that's when your life begins to change. And you start manifesting what you want into reality. And you start controlling what you want into your reality. You start believing what you want into your reality. You start evolving. And then once you evolve, that's when you become the authentic version of yourself. I'm Jackie Terry.